Yeah.
Neon White is a first-person shooter. It's also a platformer and a deck builder, sort of, and a time-attacking speedrunner. It's also a manga-inspired visual novel. Neon White is also the name of the main protagonist. In the context of the game, a neon is a masked soul dragged up from hell to cleanse heaven of the demons that are spilling in. The 10 Days of Judgment is a competition organised by the current overseers of heaven, with the eventual number 1 earning their chance to stay. Failing to reach the top spot after day 10 will get them sent back from whence they came. White is fighting against his former comrades, who all used to be a team of assassins. Naturally, he has no memory of anyone because he's a video game protagonist, and that's what video game protagonists do. They have amnesia. Feisty Red has, or had, a thing for White. Violet is cutesy, but majorly unhinged. Yellow is everyone and no one's favourite bro. And Green, the current top dog, is brutalistic and terrifying. The visual novel aspect is sort of cringy, with its over-the-top soliloquies and angels presenting themselves as cartoony cats. The voice acting is pretty great though, I will say that. But I won't dwell on the story much, because as fine and as schlocky as it is, and it does give some narrative context between the chaos, it's not the reason to play Neon White. The premise and the gameplay loop are simple. As a player, you're presented with a mostly linear level, scattered with creatures. Eliminate them all and get to the end as quickly as possible. Your armaments come to you as cards through the level, hidden in chests or dropped from slain demons, and they all act as your typical selection of first-person shooter weapons: pistol, SMG, assault rifle, shotgun, etc. But because it's slightly like a deck builder, although still quite far removed, this means you can swap your pickups around or discard them if you wish, but obviously you have to be tactical about it. Each card fires like a gun, but also has its own unique ability when you dispose of it. And because Neon White is also a platformer, these open up extra avenues of traversal. The pistol ability allows an extra mid-air jump. The assault rifle throws an explosive shot that White can ride to eject higher when it detonates. The RPG gives you a hook shot to sling across voids. You can use these in conjunction to get through as quickly and efficiently as you can. I was worried about how the card management system would play into that as another thing to keep my eye on, but thankfully, a lot of what's dealt is usually what you need for the next hurdle. Sometimes the puzzle part will show you up as it's not obviously signposted where you're going, or you've discarded a card you should have kept and now you're trapped, or you've misjudged your trajectory and missed a ledge, but that's okay because, as all good speedrunners do, pressing restart immediately restarts the level. Stages can range from 20 seconds up to 1:30, with only the boss fights taking a fair amount longer. You're never really hanging about for long on the same level, unless you are me. At the beginning of the game, I found myself in a fairly serene world of running and gunning, only to finish the game hooked on blasting through levels, timing my shots right with precision accuracy, launching across vast chasms, hailing down bullets with my heart wired into the same BPM as the pounding hardcore drum and bass of the game's soundtrack. If the run wasn't perfect, or I could shave off a few seconds here and there, I'd go again, and again, and again. This is where the game became more addictive, because you could bumble through a level and get a decent enough time to progress, but getting gold or higher increases White's rank. And as with the final completion time, I'm a sucker for seeing that number shrink. That means, for me at least, what is supposed to be a sprint ends up becoming a trial of endurance, as I try to be consistently faster whilst being mindful of whatever projectile or obstacle is coming for me in the next corner, or how much momentum is needed to clear a gap. I've got to get that ace medal. I must perfect my run down to the letter. It's the same sort of itch I get when playing time trials in racing games, eking out as much performance as possible. That's what this is. It's a racing game with machine guns and monsters and momentum. It's Doom meets Mirror's Edge meets Go Fish, I suppose. It can be tricky until you know where you went wrong, and it's mostly me and not the game, unless I get hung up on some crappy level geometry. Enemies can fire back, with some even dealing out a one-shot kill if you're in range. This spurs you on to take bigger risks or time your jumps better. Fill up the insight bar at the end and you can open up your best timed ghost or reveal a major shortcut. There's also gifts hidden around the levels to test your platforming skills, which are then gifted to the NPCs to open more dialogue and extra side quests. For what is essentially an indie game, there is a lot of decent, good content hidden in here. Altogether, it makes for an exhilarating experience and manages to simultaneously put me in a trance-like state whilst being an all-out assault of my senses. There's obviously a few other games that follow a similar suit, but none are as increasingly psychotic as this.
Not bad for a dead guy, huh?